Let her cook.
The black aunties that she said she had never surfaced, or in that book it came out that it was a lie. So the big divide just happened in 2025, where people are saying you're not black or black. You don't have to agree. I don't need nobody to agree with me.
That's not a fact. We have never lived in the world. The immigrants have been over here for about 60 years. The Haitians, Jamaicans, whatever, right?
What's not a fact?
We have lived in a world where we
what's not a fact?
We've
what's
never
not a fact?
with them.
What's not a fact?
I grew up around them. We weren't allowed to go into their houses.
Say it again.
What is not a fact? What did I say that you were against?
And that we just now started to delineate and notice that there was a difference between other diasporas.
I will say first and foremost, I think a lot of people need to start announcing who they are before they say us as black people. Because I think a lot of stuff gets thrown on black Americans, and it's not always black Americans that are the leaders in such behavior. You know what I mean? I think we get a lot of flack for the music that we put out, but then when you start to look at the lineage of the people or the artists, and you find out a lot of them aren't black Americans. But we're the ones that bear the brunt of that stereotype. So I would say I would ask people to announce at least who you are, and then say, hey, look, I'm this person, and this is what we need to address. That way we can at least know, okay, you're addressing something from your community specifically. But I've seen, like, you know what I mean? They point to City Girls and Cardi B and all these other people, and none of them are black Americans. But we are the ones that have to bear the responsibility and the brunt of who they are. So when people outside look at our culture and our music and they say, oh, that's all y'all culture, and it's like, no, that ain't just us. So why is it only being blamed on us?
So you think black culture is specifically black race? So are you saying that other races can't mess with black culture?
No, what I'm saying is that you have people who come in and they mask themselves as black Americans and then do nefarious shit. And then the only group that takes responsibility for the nefarious shit that they do are black Americans, and then they get to go back and then say, the Caribbeans would never do such things, or the Somalians would never do such actions, or Nigerians would never do such actions, or hey, what else am I thinking of? Jamaicans would never do such actions as those black Americans over there. And then you like,
let me ask you this, Sweeney. If it all went down, let's say it all went down, black versus white, do you think everybody of the same skin tone is going to come together, or different cultures is going to come together? And when you think we get attacked from the whites, do you think they're going to attack us based on our culture or based on the color of our skin?
well,
So
that might be the reason why people are trying to, we said the word assimilate, right?
So you ever heard of meritorious manumission?
Yep, I heard about it. Yep.
So during the time of slavery, when people were trying to organize to flee and escape slavery, they would grant freedom to the people who would tell on the people who were trying to escape from slavery. That is the inception of black people hating snitches. It's carried on from there. That's the inception of. So when people are like, yeah, it's been perverted, right? Because now it's turned into we gonna allow crime to go along as long as you black. But the inception was based off of there. The same way I was saying, like how gangs turned out was the inception of a political movement, right? It seems like over time, and this is and when I draw the lines and shit, right? In my mind, if I go pull up the stuff that they unclassified, declassified, that'll show you what was going on, right? You'll then begin to see that even though we're there, so that's why I made the point about using propaganda or using ways to give somebody a deal and these type of things. Damn, I just lost my train of thought. My fault. Y'all got it. I just lost my
train. No, you good. I just wanted to know. Go ahead, Swing.
But yeah, to explain, America is not dumb on who they're attacking. They know exactly who we are. They are not ignorant where they're blind by skin color and say, "Oh, I have no idea if you're a black." They know exactly who we are.
And from an HR,
But Sweeney, that kind of goes against your point
Black people in
just
Canada.
now. That goes against your point just now when you say that you think that people should identify themselves so there's no confusion.
Well, no, there's a difference between white folks knowing exactly who you are, and then there's other groups that come in and mask themselves as African American. What I mean by that is white folks, when somebody comes in and says, "I'm Nigerian," white people know exactly. It's not that white people are attacking based on skin color. They're not saying, "Oh man, we can't see between these group of black people." They know exactly where their laws and everything is specifically supposed to address and who they're specifically targeting. What I'm speaking to is when people come over here and then they say they're us, and then they do things, and then all the blame gets thrust on Black Americans for the culture that you see, when in reality, it's a lot of people that are coming over here bringing stuff over here that wasn't necessarily us as well. But they're saying,
so whenever white people report on our behavior or our media or whatever, and let's say for your point, it's a Cardi B, somebody, what do they say since they know exactly who we are?
They will say
that's black people,
they will say
or is that Latina, Afro Latina?
They will
They
say
say
black people.
black unless it's an accomplishment.
They're gonna say
Latina.
I see what Sweeney
No,
is.
she telling the truth. I see you just made that face,
No,
dog.
I
That's
see.
literally what
Yes,
happened.
Sweeney, he telling the truth.
It's something bad is black people.
So when she goes to jail, they're gonna say it's the black person.
Yeah, when it's something bad, they're gonna put it on us because the group that they want to look bad is us. So they're gonna say, "Hey, look at those black people over there doing that specific thing." However, they know
that they're not black.
Okay, I got it. So when black, okay, hold on.
Don't know. So sometimes they don't know.
You reverse.
So when Ado, So when Ado see Cardi B up there twerking and shit, do they say that's a black woman?
Well,
or do they say that's an Afro Latina woman?
So what used to happen is that black people were very generous in who we were, right? So we were very accepting of everyone at one point in time. However, I don't know if you've been noticing the shift in how Black Americans have been seeing things as of recently. You are starting to see specifically Black Americans start to say, "Hey, that person ain't us." As a matter of fact, one of the biggest things against Barack Obama was the fact that now Black people are starting to see Barack Obama as just a what was he
Kenyan.
Kenyan white American and not an African American. That's why you start to see a lot of people say that he wasn't black. And also the reason why you starting to see a lot of black people say Kamala wasn't black is because you just now starting to see black people really create that delineation that wasn't always there. We used to be like, all of us, we used to accept everybody like black is black, it is black. Until we started to notice, hey, look, something is wrong here. And
but
that's why they're currently
I feel like that just started with this election. I feel like, I feel like before then, black people were not drawing the line.
Right.
Just going back to DEI, we want to include everybody. You're saying people hitched their cause on our backs, but we allowed it. We said, "Come, we support you. We are inclusive to everybody. If you like black people, then we love you." That's where that comes from. So you're saying that they did it, but we let it willingly happen to us, right? Because we are always so inclusive of everybody else, at the same time denying ourselves and the things that we need for ourselves. That's why Bruiser brought up integration, because instead of fighting to say, "No, you're gonna give us this," why can't we go in y'all restaurants and why can't we ride y'all buses in? Why can't we F that? No, the ice is not cold. Your ice is not colder than our ice, right? Mm-hmm. And so with that situation being said, it really was. And we have to sit here and acknowledge, you're saying that, right? It just started happening. It just happened with this presidential race. And what happened to African Americans? The big divide. How can y'all say she's not black? She is black. Her daddy black, so she black. All of it, everybody had a different argument whether they believed it or they didn't believe it, and it was a complete line down. If you didn't believe she was black, oh, you not like us. You ain't black if you saying she ain't black. All of that, if you want to talk about bullying, that's where the bully came in. That's where the bullying started.
So let me ask you
not black. You taking up for somebody. You saying that she's technically not black. She's Indian, and we still haven't seen the black daddy that everybody says she got, right? And the black aunties, that I'm not done.
Let her cook.
The black aunties that she said she had never surfaced, and in that book it came out that it was a lie. So the big divide just happened in 2025 where people are saying you're not black or black. You don't have to agree. I don't need nobody to agree with me.
That's not a fact. We have never lived in the world. The immigrants been over here for about 60 years. The Haitians, Jamaicans, whatever, right?
What's not a fact?
Lived in a world where we
what's not a fact?
We've
what's
never
not a fact?
existed with them.
What's not a fact?
I grew up around them. We weren't allowed to go into their houses.
Say it again.
What is not a fact? What did I say that you were against?
And that we just now started to delineate and notice that there was a difference between other diasporas. That's not
Sweeney said speaking up about it, speaking up publicly about it in public spaces on platforms. This has just happened. Before then, we were so inclusive to everyone. That's how you think Cardi B can say the N-word. How do you think Cardi B can say the N-word and she claimed to be black when then when she was on Love and Hip Hop, she never claimed to be black. But in her music, she say the N-word every other word because we let her say it. Aisha, are you listening to anything I'm saying?
So
what are you talking about?
So I
hold on. Let Sharon go real quick.
So real fast, I see what Sweeney. I was hearing something different from Sweeney. He was just saying, "This is what I got from it from halfway being asleep." What I heard from Sweeney was sometimes the things that are happening in our culture is not necessarily us. It's other people who look like us who are doing it, right? And I can vouch for that because there's a lot of people who they get in trouble over here. They are rappers and they have to go back to the other country. And I'm like, dang, I didn't even know he wasn't from here. You know what I'm saying? And so you thought he was from here because he looks like us, but then you find out because something went down that now, like, dang, now he got deported, you know? So, but you get the rep of being bad and he's not even from here. Like, people don't know the difference, right? But this is the thing. I get the whole Kamala situation. We go so hard for people who not even doing nothing bad, right? But why are we going hard for people who are doing bad? Like, we so quick to call out, okay, Kamala, she's a politician. She's the, you know, and that's fine because you probably don't agree with her or whatever. Barack, okay, these are people who are doing good things, whether we agree with them or not, right? But there are people.
That's not my point, Shan. That wasn't Sweeney's point. That wasn't my point either.
No.
Whether they're good or bad, I'm saying the conversation arose.
This is not your point nor Sweeney's point. This is my point. I'm just saying that we're so quick to point out people who are not really doing anything bad against our race, but we don't point out, like you just said, Cardi B can say the N-word. We should have been pointed that out a long time ago.
You can let them come up, Jack.
Or people who degrade us, you know, by putting stuff out that's supposed to quote unquote represent us. We don't call them out like we calling everybody.
I said you can let them come up. I'll bring them back down.
What'd you say?
Oh shit, my bad. I'm sorry.
What did you say, Darren?
I'm sorry.
We did point it out. And I think kind of you and Casey are kind of hitting on the same point, right? There was, like, for a long time, black people have always been black is just black, because we were largely accepting of everyone. If you were black like me, we understood. But the reason why I say this is recent is because there's a reason why you start to see studies where they start to figure out, okay, who was actually getting accepted into college? Was it Black Americans, or was it just, or did you notice that, or that's when they started noticing that a lot of Black immigrants were being given spaces that they were claiming were being given to Black Americans, but that was simply not true. There's a reason why you're starting to see the delineation as far as wealth in this country, and they're delineating by actual specific groups. All of that is recent. All of that wasn't happening 15, 20 years ago. Yes, Black people did treat other Black people as Black, My only thing was that what happened is that I think Black Americans tend to always get a bad rap and we eat the failure of all the other groups that may be doing just as bad, that come into our culture and mask themselves as Black and then do some fucked up shit, and then they get the not necessarily them specifically, the person who did the dumb shit, but the group that they come from don't have to eat the failure of that person because it was thrusted on the Black Americans. It wasn't thrusted on the Caribbeans. No, when Cardi B acted a fool, nobody says, look at that the Latino community and how they behave. It's look at them Black people and how they behave.
Absolutely.
Like, so that's what I mean by we have to eat the failure. It's not the specific person. Of course, the specific person can come out later on and say, oh, well, I'm Latino American, but the damage is already done.
Well, let me ask you this, Sweeney. Let's say I think it's safe to say that you probably 80 to 90% of your bloodline is from Africa, and maybe 10% of it is from America due to inbreeding, through slavery and the overtime. Yeah, I could be wrong. Maybe 80% of it's white. I don't know. Somebody can argue that. But how are we able to accept people that's 50% white? Like, I think Danielle just came out. I think maybe she was 50% white. How are we able to accept somebody that's 50% white, but we can't accept motherfuckers that's damn near 100% Black that come over here or from our same
I was about to say,
we're a byproduct
African tribe or some shit like that.
I'll let Marcus handle that one.
We're a byproduct of the ethnogenesis that occurred. There were melanated people prior to the pilgrims arriving in America, right? So our DNA is a mixture of it's some Anglo-Saxon blood in there, it's indigenous blood, and it's some African or Afro-Asiatic blood in there. So we became at the foundation of this country, we became a new ethnic group due to that. So none of us would be 100% African because that's not the creation of the people you would constitute as Black Americans in its current state. So it might be somebody that would be more like, so I see somebody, like, to answer your question, the person that would be 100% African would be 100% African. We're not 100% African because we're not continental Africans. We're part of ethnogenesis that occurred in America or Turtle Island, if you like really want to go further back. And it's plenty of books that detail when the people came here that the melanated immigrants existed. There's a thing called the Dawes Act, where they went to reservations after the separation and they removed darker skinned people from there and reclassified them. It's called a paper genocide, and reclassified them as colored or Negro, and then moved forward. So we've been through several different name changes. We went from slave native to Negro to colored to African American, Black American, and the newest iteration is FBA. Because the attempt to codify the language to draw a circle around a specific group of people is what's occurring.
Yeah.
But you get why I asked that question.
I get why you asked it, but we're part of the ethnogenesis that created a unique people in this land.
Oh, okay.
It's tribal. It's no different. It's tribal. Right. This is our tribe.
This is our tribe. And just, they like to say that the boat dropped everybody off in different places, from Africa. So it's no difference between a Haitian or a Jamaican or a Fijian. Like, everybody's ancestral DNA goes back to Africa. So this notion that we somehow have more African blood in us than a Jamaican is insane. Like, they probably have more than we have, because we all come from, Africa. The mitochondrial Eve hypothesis. Like, there's no way that, with that logic, everybody is African, and we're not continental African. So I always find it strange that people try to act like they don't understand that. Like, you can look at me and know that I'm not a continental African. And it's like, why do they do that with Black Americans? Why do we have to have such this affinity to Africa, to this continent that we haven't even been on in over 400 or 500 years? Some of us are indigenous to this land. So I don't understand that whole concept.
The other thing is the majority of the slave ships did not dock in America. They went to Brazil and the Caribbean. They went to the Caribbean for the majority of the slave ships. America stopped importing slaves a long time before. So, which is part of the ethnogenesis that I'm speaking of. It was a breeding farm that occurred
Yeah.
here, which
We
is where you
became
get this
cattle.
admixture. It's a specific admixture that creates us. Yeah.
I was trying to explain to a dude. I was like, you kind of almost hear it in the music. Like you can damn near hear it in the music that like our music is significantly different over the last 60, 70, 80 years than any other group, and especially specifically in the West Indies. Like you can hear that their music is still closer to, you know what I mean, closer to African than our music was. Like heavily influenced by, but that's because they were still bringing slave ships over there. Like they were still importing people from Africa long after America stopped. Like I can't remember the specific date that America stopped really bringing in slave ships because they started breeding us. But long after that, they were still sending slave ships to the Caribbean. That's why that's why you can still hear the influence in their music from the continent, where it sounds similar. You can hear the influences, whereas sometimes you don't necessarily hear those influences in our music.
What point are y'all trying to make? Y'all making a point against Bruiser?
No, we
what?
were just talking at that point. I don't think we was even
Oh,
He asked a question about how how can you say somebody that's half white, half Black American is more Black American than somebody that's 100% African? And I was explaining to him what the ethnogenesis created and why that would be a different.